what prompted India to claim that Shaheen missiles were used by Pakistan during Operation Bunyan al-Marsoos at a time when Pakistani Foreign Affairs Ministry strongly rejected Indian media claims.
Now we are hearing stories that Pakistan has used intermediate range ballistic missiles like Shaheen, which is unrealistic. Let me tell you for three reasons. Number one, Pakistan did not need to use ballistic missile because for technical reasons, ballistic missiles are expensive, but they are primarily designed to carry strategic warheads. We would not resort to the use of a ballistic missile on the first day of this major escalation. Secondly, Pakistan did not need to use ballistic missile. That is a very important point because Pakistan's target was Indian military installations. If you have pinpoint accuracy, in order to destroy the target, you do not need a large warhead. Third reason is on the 10th of May, Pakistan did not know how long will this crisis continue. It would be irrational and unrealistic for Pakistan to resort to the use of ballistic missiles on the first day of crisis. However, another equally dangerous false narrative is that they have attacked Pakistan's nuclear storage sites, which is also ridiculous. Any nuclear powers, nuclear sites, number one, are classified. They're not known in public where the nuclear warheads are stored. All nuclear powers very carefully and responsibly secure and protect their nuclear arsenal. So I think this very irresponsible rhetoric, 9 days after a careful and relatively realistic press conference by the Indian military spokesperson, Colonel Qureshi, is unfortunate and misleading and dangerous.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, Pakistan-India conflict, there is another development that Indian media is claiming that Pakistan, during Operation Bunyan al-Marsoos, used Shaheen missiles against India. Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs a short while ago issued a very strong rebuttal saying Pakistan did not use these missiles, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan spokesman Shafqat Ali Khan strongly rejected Indian media reports. But these claims originated following a release of a video by Indian Army's official Twitter handle purportedly showing the use of Pakistan's Shaheen missile. Upon realizing that the claim was not substantial, the Indian Army quickly deleted the misleading video. However, by then, sections of Indian media carried that video, which was uploaded by Indian Army. So therefore, there was huge confusion, propaganda against Pakistan that Pakistan used allegedly Shaheen missile against India. So in today's conversation, we will discuss that what prompted India to use this allegation against Pakistan that Shaheens were used against India during Operation Bunyan al-Marsoos. But however, in addition to this, in today's conversation, we will also discuss what was the impact of this Operation Bunyan al-Marsoos in the region, what lessons we learned, what was the strategic objectives that Pakistan achieved, what was as far as security paradigm of South Asia is concerned, was there any impact on that strategic stability? And in addition to this, right, what change the region has witnessed? In addition to this, we'll also discuss the lessons from warfare and the way Pakistan fought this war, what was difference this war and the previous wars that Pakistan fought. To discuss this all, we are fortunate to have with us Senior Strategic Affairs Analyst, Dr. Syed Mohammad Ali Saab. Dr. Mohammad Ali Saab, very warm welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Since you have an expertise in nuclear and in missile technology, I would like to begin and seek your immediate comment, that what prompted India to claim that Shaheen missiles were used by Pakistan during Operation Banyan al-Marsoos at a time when Pakistani Foreign Affairs Ministry strongly rejected Indian media claims. Dr. Saab.
Thank you, Prince Saab, for inviting me on your wonderful show. I think it's a very misleading and ridiculous claim for three reasons. Number one, you would recall that during the heat of the conflict on the 10th of May, the Indian military spokesperson announced before the world that Pakistan has hit 26 targets. And in that press conference, she clearly mentioned what sort of missiles Pakistan used. And she identified drones and cruise missiles and standoff weapons. And she also identified the targets that Pakistan chose to retaliate against, which were basically those bases and sources of Indian military capability from which attacks were launched from India in the form of BrahMos cruise missile attacks, or the air bases from which the Rafales and Su-30 MKIs and Mirage 2000s took off, and also the air bases from which the drones took off. So Pakistan was very careful in retaliating very accurately, but also responsibly. There was no incentive behind attacking any civilian target or any high-value target. In fact, Pakistan's defense minister, who was sitting with me at 11 o'clock on the day of this conflict, clearly mentioned that Pakistan has selected only military targets. This was a formal statement by Pakistan's defense minister during the conflict. And he also warned that if India retaliates and escalates further, then we can consider high-value targets. First, the most important thing is the Indian recognition from their military on the 10th of May that only Indian military targets were hit. And she did not claim, and she did not allege that any civilian target has been hit or any high-value target has been hit. This is very important. So 9 days after the Indian official military reaction, now we are hearing stories that Pakistan has used intermediate range ballistic missiles like Shaheen, which is unrealistic. Let me tell you for three reasons. Number one, Pakistan did not need to use ballistic missile because for technical reasons, ballistic missiles are expensive and they are designed primarily, although they can carry multiple warheads, but they are primarily designed to carry strategic warheads because they have certain features and their speed is very high, and they serve as a element of our deterrent. So we would not resort to the use of a ballistic missile on the first day of this major escalation.
But India did it. India did use ballistic missiles. BrahMos.
I have to check that. There are statements to that effect. Let me clarify, Mateen Saab. I have not seen any evidence that India used ballistic missiles. Let me tell you, frankly speaking, irrespective of whoever says that or claims that. If Pakistan believes that there are ballistic missiles which were used, Pakistan should show the evidence because the ballistic missile has a re-entry vehicle and it has a guidance system and its parts can clearly be shown to international media to prove that it was a ballistic missile. So, I mean, mere statements don't make anything. They're without any evidence. Secondly, Pakistan did not need to use ballistic missile. That is a very important point because Pakistan's target was Indian military installations. And if Pakistan was attacking the air bases, such as their runways or their aircraft hangars, then Pakistan did not need to use ballistic missiles because ballistic missiles have a long range, high speed, but large circular error probability, which means without a strategic warhead, they are not designed for pinpoint targeting. Whereas cruise missiles and glide vehicles, drones, and long-range rockets, such as Fateh 1 and Fateh 2, are extremely accurate. And if you have been a very seasoned defense correspondent, you have seen videos and live firing exercises. If you've seen a live firing of Fateh 1, Fateh 2 in any of the test ranges, Fateh 1 has a range of 140 kilometers. Fateh 2 has a range of 400 kilometers. If you fire that and you have a flag at the target, it will hit that flag 140 kilometers away. A single pole, that's how accurate it is. So with that sort of amazing accuracy, we did not need to use ballistic missile because it is a cost-effective, cheaper delivery system. Secondly, if you want to target something small, like a aircraft hangar, you don't need to send a ballistic missile. A cruise missile or a high-speed rocket is good enough, or a standoff precision-guided munition, because it needs to be accurate rather than very destructive. So accuracy is more important. So Pakistan would choose, and Pakistan chose only those weapons which offer pinpoint accuracy, whether it is Fateh 1, Fateh 2 rockets, whether it is the standoff weapon systems of Pakistan Air Force, whether these are precision-guided munitions or whether these are armed drones. These offer pinpoint accuracy. So if you have pinpoint accuracy, in order to destroy the target, you do not need a large warhead. You see, you need a large warhead when you want to destroy something which is very big, or the warhead is such that it has a strategic value and it will cause damage and destruction at a large area, which was not the objective. So you were hitting military target lawfully, responsibly, in exercise of the UN Article 51 for exercise of the right of self-defense, and hitting only carefully, precisely the military targets. The third reason is, on the 10th of May, Pakistan did not know how long will this crisis continue. This is a very important point that I'm mentioning. So it would be irrational and unrealistic for Pakistan to resort to the use of ballistic missiles on the first day of crisis. That means you have escalated the crisis to a very high degree in the first few hours. We did not need to do that. So that is strategically, it makes no sense, because Pakistan's targets were easily and accurately targeted through the Fateh 1, Fateh 2 rockets, which offered accuracy, high speed, and desirable effects were achieved. Pakistan Air Force standoff weapon systems, precision-guided munitions, and armed drones. They are very accurate. So we were not looking for large-scale destruction in India. That was not our military objective on 10th May. So this needs to be understood. So we chose our weapons carefully. Secondly, this story that Pakistan used a ballistic missile against S-300 is also ridiculous, because S-300 is a very advanced
S-400
missile defense system in the world. It is very respected. When it was deployed in Syria, even the American and Israeli air forces were very respectful towards it. They would not violate Syrian airspace where S-400 was deployed. That's how capable it is. But Pakistan Air Force used a JF-17 fighter with a hypersonic standoff weapon system, CM-400, which accurately destroyed it. And that is also not a very large. You don't need a ballistic missile to destroy a radar or any surface-to-air missile or missile defense battery has components. It has missiles or their launch tubes from where the missiles are launched. Then you have a command vehicle which decides about the targets and chooses them. And the third is the radar, which observes and selects and locks the target, and then the command vehicle the target, locks them, and then launches the missile. So when you say you have destroyed S-400 missile system, it means that we could have command vehicle, we could have destroyed their radar system. That means that even if their missiles are intact, without a command vehicle, without a radar system, the missiles are useless. They cannot be guided in the flight. So it is useless. You understand? So we need to wait for the details before we come up with evidence that how S-400 was destroyed. We know what weapon used. And again, in case of Shaheen or any other ballistic missile, that is not meant for destroying air defense system. That is ridiculous. No country has ever done that. It has a large circular error probability, which means it is expensive system. It is meant to target counter value targets, high value targets. It is primarily designed for strategic delivery system, and that is basically a completely false narrative. However, another equally dangerous false narrative is that they have attacked Pakistan's nuclear storage sites, which is also ridiculous. Because, I'm not talking about Pakistan, but any nuclear powers, nuclear sites, number one, are classified. They're not known in public where the nuclear warheads are stored. And most people don't even need to know where they are stored. Secondly, they are traditionally very deeply buried. In order to ensure, even if there is a preemptive strike, a conventional warhead of any sort is unlikely to penetrate that deeply in the ground to cause any effect on that site. They are not kept in the on air bases like that. That is very important to understand. So any aerial vehicle, even if it strikes Chaklala Air Base, which is very close to very densely populated Pindi population, it is very unlikely that there is a storage site. Secondly, even if there was, which I am not aware, then it would not be affected because they are in all around the world so deeply buried that at times even a nuclear strike cannot prevent them. That's how deeply and securely they are buried. So because all nuclear powers very carefully and responsibly secure and protect their nuclear arsenal. So I think this very irresponsible rhetoric 9 days after a careful and relatively realistic press conference by the Indian military spokesperson, Colonel Qureshi, is unfortunate and misleading and dangerous because that clearly indicates that 9 days after this, Indian political leadership is trying to, put the blame on Pakistan and try to create a false narrative and create a hype about the strategic escalation, which is not the reality. The most important reality, Mateen Saab, is are basically two things, and let me share with you. Number one, you must recall on the 10th of May, at the height of this crisis, it was the Indian military spokesperson who first went on air before international media and announced that India is ready to de-escalate. As long as Pakistan
I remember exactly. In the first statement, she said that India is ready to de-escalate.
So what does that mean? Diplomatically and strategically? That means that the pain and punishment that Pakistan inflicted on India was unacceptable for India. And it was, proverbially speaking, throwing in the towel. And it is pleading before international community that please save us from Pakistan. So if that is the case, and India is the one to seek international intervention and crisis de-escalation, then that proves that who was closer to nuclear threshold, Pakistan or India? In any crisis between two nuclear armed neighbors, the country which first seeks international mediation or crisis
intervention.
management, or no longer can tolerate further pain, destruction, or escalation, is the one who believes this much destruction and pain is unacceptable, so my red lines are close. So such a country is more likely to be close to its nuclear threshold than the country which is reciprocating positively and responsibly to such an offer. On Friday night, that army chief informed Pakistan's prime minister that we are receiving messages that India wants de-escalation. So it is India through third-party countries, including US, including Turkey, including UK and other countries, sent us messages that we want to de-escalate. So that means India could not absorb our retaliation and realize that they are close to their red line. It is not us that, and we were asked or requested by international community to consider Indian offer. So we responded positively because we are a responsible country. We only wanted to give a message, a lesson to India that don't mess with us, don't play with fire, don't misinterpret our desire for peace as weakness, because in every domain, through every mean, if you attack, we will cause at least 3 times more punishment in that particular domain, which will be unacceptable to you. So that is the message which needs to be consistent, clear, unambiguous around the world. That if the world wants South Asia to be free from such crisis and conflict, then it has a responsibility to restrain India, to warn India, and to demand from India to, instead of saber rattling in a nuclearized environment, they should resume the composite dialogue and resolve all issues with Pakistan through negotiations, and also meeting and fulfilling its own obligation towards the Kashmiri people regarding the UN-mandated plebiscite, so that we can address the cause and have an enduring peace instead of such irresponsible, aggressive acts from India, which Pakistan has punished this time and will always punish in future if it is attempted again.
Dr. We are running short of time. I will quickly put up 1 or 2 questions with precise answers. What lesson learned from this conflict, particularly when we talk of Pakistan's successful strike, retaliatory strike against India, and what has been impact of this conflict, Pakistan's response on strategic stability in South Asia?
I think there are some very important lessons. I'll respond to your very important question specifically in different domains. I think in terms of strategic stability, it is very important because Pakistan was being told by international experts and the Western experts, and that India is likely to carry out a surgical strike against Pakistan. A very famous book, No War, No Peace by Toby Dalton was written around 11-12 years ago. And it had warned that India could attempt a surgical strike for some reasons. And and Pakistan always warned the international community that that is unacceptable. Pakistan will always retaliate. And Pakistan will not accept Indian aggression of any form, level and scale as the new normal. In fact, the new normal will be that Pakistan will attack and retaliate so strongly that the punishment will be unacceptable for India, which was the case after the Pahalgam crisis. Secondly, in terms of warfare, I think there are some very important lessons that it has transformed warfare, perhaps like no other warfare. Right now, there are several conflicts going on in Gaza, in Ukraine, and we have heard about some recent conflicts between Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan, Libya as well, and Syria as well. But this was very different and transformational. It will have a transformational effect on warfare. Number one, Pakistan dominated this fast, swift, intense crisis across four domains. Pakistan dominated the conventional domain. Pakistan dominated the cyber domain. Pakistan dominated the missile domain. Pakistan dominated the drones warfare, and Pakistan also achieved air superiority within the first air battle between 4.5 generation aircraft, the first of its kind in world history. So there are some very important lessons. Pakistan very successfully employed electronic warfare, which has few parallels in recent history, which really worked as a force multiplier and neutralized Indian investment in very high-tech weapon systems. I think in terms of international arms industry, there's a big lesson that I think the Chinese advanced weapons, particularly the J-10C, proved to be a very important player in the military aviation market, and it has emerged as a very important platform. And it is the first time that a major Chinese fighter has successfully defeated top Western fighters like Rafale, which is also a 4.5 generation aircraft, and also the leading Russian fighter Su-30 MKI, which is the backbone of Indian Air Force. So I think that is the lesson. The most important lesson is geopolitical. And the Indian top strategic thinkers and diplomats are worried, including people like R.C.A. Raghavan, including people like Navtej Sarna, including people like Swasni Haider, that Modi Saab has wasted Indian power into which they had built in 20 years, because India was aspiring to become a permanent member of UN Security Council. It wants to be a great power. It does not. It wants to dismiss Pakistan as a small, inconvenient neighbor. But after this conflict and this strong retaliation from Pakistan, now the world is again seeing India in the South Asian context, that if it cannot live up to the Pakistani challenge, then how can it be expected to counter China, which is much bigger, much more powerful? So I think the Western expectations, the last important lesson is the Western expectations from India regarding containment of China project, I think are grave overestimation. And they must have realized that the Indian will, resolve, and capability to live up to Western expectations of containing China are unrealistic and overestimation of Indian will, capacity, and capability, which is neutralized effectively by Pakistan through its resolve and lawful, responsible, and calculated retaliation. So these are very important lessons, that Pakistan is a very responsible nuclear power, and India is a very irresponsible, erratic power, which does not deserve that much trust and high-tech weapon systems, that its own manufacturers get embarrassed. And so I think international defense cooperation will also be renewed. The most important last lesson is in the diplomatic domain, that I think India was deeply disappointed because US did not diplomatically support India, despite India being a key Indo-Pacific US ally. And the Quad partners also did not support India. So India also learned the limits of its influence and power, that if it carries out an irresponsible, erratic, unjustified aggression without any international investigation, which Pakistan had demanded, then nobody is going to support you.
Last, we are short of time. Only one sentence. How significant is Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar's visit to Beijing and his meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister? Just one sentence.
I think it's a very important meeting, because China has supported Pakistan diplomatically, militarily, and substantively, and it has also recognized Pakistan's value, that Pakistan is a factor of peace, stability, and security in South Asia, and has the will, confidence, and capacity to emerge not just as a military power, but also, with Chinese help, a major economic hub for trans-regional trade through the conclusion of CPEC projects, and operationalization of these trade routes so that this whole region can benefit from Chinese investment and emerge as a large trans-regional trading hub. And we will collectively defeat Indian efforts both through terrorism and unprovoked aggression to thwart the peace, security, and stability of this region.
Dear viewers, we are running short of time. We hope you will enjoy this very vibrant and insightful discussion on recent conflict between Pakistan and India. Till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.